Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Tavani, and today I will be discussing the right of the child to be heard and to participate in decisions affecting them. Children's participation is a fundamental right recognized under international human rights law, specifically the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the CRC, which Australia ratified in 1990. Yet, despite this, Australia has continued to fall short in upholding this right. Article 12 of the CRC is clear: states parties shall assure to the child who is capable of forming his or her own views the right to express those views freely in all matters affecting the child. This article applies to all legal, administrative, and judicial proceedings, including family law disputes, care arrangements, criminal proceedings, and asylum procedures. The UN Committee on the Rights of the Child in General Comment Number 12 outlined 9 basic requirements for effective participation. Children must be fully informed about their right and reason for their participation. Child must be participating out of their own free will. Child's perspective must be considered and treated seriously. Participation must actually relate to the child's life. Participation is non-discriminatory. Adults involved in facilitating the participation process must be trained properly. Children must be protected from any retribution that may arise from their participation. Children must also be provided information as to how their input was considered. Participation must also be inclusive of children with disabilities as required under Article 7 of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and the child's evolving maturity must be considered. The right to participate under Article 12 is also backed by Article 14 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which recognizes a child's right to be heard in legal proceedings. Despite these obligations, the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child in 2019 criticized Australia for lacking a comprehensive national child's rights legislation that allows for the consistent and direct application of the CRC in domestic proceedings. Australia was also criticized for failing to facilitate child participation in asylum, family law, and care system decisions. This includes situations where the current framework theoretically fosters participation, however, its practical effectiveness is minimal. For instance, whilst the Family Law Act requires courts to consider children's views, the Australian Institute of Family Studies reports that 97% resolve matters outside of courts. This means most children never even get to express their views. Additionally, private mediators often require parental consent before child involvement is allowed, a practice widely problematic in high conflict or family violence situations. Additionally, the committee criticized Australia for failing to ensure culturally appropriate participation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children. A tragic example is the death of a 17-year-old Wemba Wemba woman whilst under the care of Victoria's Department of Families, Fairness and Housing. She had requested to reconnect with her Indigenous culture, but her voice was ignored. The coroner found that the department breached the right of participation and stressed the importance of acknowledging the child's voice and experiences in subsequent decision making to mitigate the risk of such devastating consequences. Moving forward, it is imperative that children's voices are integrated across all decisions that affect them. To achieve this standard, Australia must incorporate Article 12 of the CRC into domestic law, make the right to be heard enforceable. While Australia has ratified the CRC, it is yet to codify these provisions, which means that even though Australia is obligated to uphold the articles contained within, violations of these articles are left unaccounted for. Establish independent monitoring mechanisms to provide effective remedies for Article 12 violations. While Australia has a parliamentary joint committee that assesses whether new Australian legislation aligns with international law, such as the CRC, this committee lacks a concentrated focus on children's rights. Its limited capacity means that not all bills are reviewed to ensure compliance. Therefore, it is of paramount importance that Australia establish a committee solely focused on the implementation and enforcement of the CRC in Australia. Ensure participation processes are inclusive and child-friendly, particularly for girls, children with disabilities, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children. Sign and become a party to the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child on a Communications Procedure. This optional protocol provides an avenue for children to make individual complaints to the UN Committee after domestic methods have been exhausted. This is vital for ensuring that the right of child participation is upheld and any breaches of the right are handled accordingly. To conclude, children's right to participate is not optional, it is a legal right. Australia must embed this right nationally, ensure children are heard in practice, develop monitoring bodies to ensure accountability, and provide avenues for remedies. Thank you for listening. I am hopeful to see some action in this space.